8:45. This is a Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. President Rajapaksa visits 9/11 Memorial in New York. Prime Minister directs the customs to immediately clear the essential food items in the port. Sri Lanka begins COVID vaccination for children with comorbidities today. The COVID Prevention Special Committee decides to prepare a plan on health recommendations and limits when reopening the country after lifting the quarantine curfew. Coronavirus update: 923 new cases reported in Sri Lanka. Schools to be reopened under 4 stages after lifting of the travel restrictions. Sri Lanka ranked second in South Asian region for ease of launching startup businesses. Sri Lanka confirms 82 new deaths from COVID-19. In news overseas, Afghanistan, executions will return, says senior Taliban official. And in sports news, Mahela appointed as consultant for T20 World Cup. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has attended the special commemorative event organized in front of the Manhattan Memorial in the United States to mark the 20th anniversary of the terror attacks in Washington and New York. The terrorist attacks took place on September 11, 2001, targeting the World Trade Center in New York and Pentagon, the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense. Coinciding with the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly, the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism and 9/11 Memorial Museum jointly organized the event, the PMD said. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed the customs to immediately clear all essential food items currently in the port. The Prime Minister has issued this directive during the cost of living committee meeting held today via video conference, the PM's office said. He issued the directive to the Imports and Exports Control Director General and Director General of Sri Lanka Customs. It has been decided during the meeting to ensure that the essential food items cleared from the port are distributed to the general public through the Satosa outlets and through the importers of essential goods expeditiously. It was emphasized that the Ministry of Trade and Agricultural officers should take the responsibility to release rice and other essential food items to the market without any shortage. Approval was also granted to the request made by State Minister D.B. Herath to obtain animal feed, including maize, from the international market under the existing system until the local maize crops are harvested. Other heads of state, government representatives who were in New York to attend the UN General Assembly were also present at the event to pay tribute to those who lost their lives at the attacks. COVID-19 inoculation program for children aged between 12 to 19 years who suffer from disabilities or chronic diseases kicked off at 3 hospitals today. Accordingly, Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines are rolled out for such children at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children in Colombo, Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital and Kurunegala Teaching Hospital. The parents are required to produce all the medical records of children when bringing them for the vaccinations. A consultant pediatrician will assess the relevant medical records before deciding whether the vaccine would be administered. The parents are also required to sign a letter giving their consent to administer the Pfizer vaccine to their children. As per the guidelines, children who recovered from COVID-19 should be vaccinated irrespective of the previous infection or the disease condition. They can be vaccinated after 2 weeks since recovery. In the initial phase of the program, vaccinations will be continuing in Colombo, Kaluthara, Gampaha, Kurunegala and Anuradhapura districts. It is expected to be expanded to the other areas in due course. The COVID Prevention Special Committee has decided to prepare a plan on health recommendations and limits when reopening the country after lifting the quarantine curfew. A plan will be implemented under 3 categories. The recommendations will be presented under the guidance of the Ministry of Labour, health experts and the Health Ministry on the maintenance of public transport services to operate public sector machinery and services of the private sector. The decisions have been taken at the COVID Prevention Special Committee meeting, which took place today through video technology, chaired by Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa. The minister said that the fullest support of the general public, the public health inspectors, regional political authorities, rural development committees and the media should be obtained to prepare the plan. He said that all sectors should work together to take forward the economic process continuously under the new normal situation. It has been possible to maintain economic growth of 12.3% during the second quarter of this year. He pointed out that the growth rate decreased to 1% in the third quarter due to the closure of the country. The finance minister emphasized the need to work to achieve the target of 3% in the fourth quarter. He expressed belief that it will be possible to maintain the country's annual economic growth at 5%. The attention has been focused on public transport, where the permission will be granted with conditions after relaxing the travel restrictions. State Minister Dilum Amunugama said a systematic plan will be devised to implement the transport system based on the number of seats available in the public transport mediums. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The Ministry of Health reported that another 923 persons have tested positive for the novel coronavirus today. All new cases are associated with the New York COVID-19 cluster. This increase says the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the country thus far to 510,963. Currently, a total of 45,741 infected patients are under medical care at hospitals, treatment centers, and under home-based care. Sri Lanka's total recoveries has risen to 452,692. Schools across the island are expected to be reopened under 4 stages once the travel restrictions that are currently in force are lifted. Decision in this regard will be taken by the technical committee established by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Education Ministry and the Health Ministry. Secretary to the Education Ministry, Professor Kapila Pereira, revealed this during a media briefing held at the Government Information Department today to brief the general public on the reopening of schools. He said that classes for students in grade 1 to 5 can be resumed after the pandemic situation subsides, as the children below the age of 12 are not required to be vaccinated against the virus. Thereby, 3,884 schools in total will be reopened for grade 1 to grade 5 students under the first phase. Speaking further, Professor Pereira said COVID vaccinations for children aged 12 to 15 years and 16 to 19 years will be rolled out with the full approval of the pediatric specialists. In the coming week, the officials will inquire into the preparation for reopening schools from provincial, district and zonal education and health authorities, Professor Pereira added. The main suspect in the incident during the drug raid at Obesekarapura in Rajagiriya, where a police constable was left injured, has surrendered to court. The suspect has surrendered to the Colombo Chief Magistrate's Court today, while he has been placed under remand custody until September 29th. Drug dealers had hit a police officer with a vehicle during a recent police raid carried out at the Obesekarapura area in Rajagiriya. The police officer has risked his life to stop fleeing of a car during the raid, while the incident was much talked about recently. The officer has sustained injuries on his head and leg after falling off the speeding vehicle and is currently receiving medical treatment. The total number of people who fell victim to COVID-19 infections in Sri Lanka moved up as 82 more fatalities were confirmed by the Director General of Health Services on Thursday. The new development has pushed the official death toll from the virus outbreak in Sri Lanka to 12,530. As per the data released by the Department of Government Information, the latest victims include 51 males and 31 females. As many as 61 deaths were reported among the elderly people aged above 60 years. In addition, 21 individuals aged between 30 to 59 years have also fallen victim to the virus infection. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. President Rajapaksa visits 9/11 Memorial in New York. The Prime Minister directs the customs to immediately clear the essential food items in the port. Sri Lanka begins COVID-19 vaccinations for children with comorbidities today. The COVID Prevention Special Committee decides to prepare a plan on health recommendations and limits when reopening the country after lifting of the quarantine curfew. Coronavirus update, 923 new cases reported in Sri Lanka. Schools will be reopened under 4 stages after lifting of the travel restrictions. Sri Lanka ranked 2nd in South Asian region for ease of launching startup businesses. Sri Lanka confirms 82 new deaths from COVID-19. And that was the local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. SLBC, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. SLBC, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by SLBC Vidya Mahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, Sri Lanka Catholic Archbishop Forum points out that the disturbance to the students' education will be a hindrance to the social development of the country. The forum also requests the teachers and principals to continue with the educational activities while seeking the solution to their salary anomalies. Forum also advised the teachers to initiate a healthy dialogue in this regard and to look for positive approaches to reach a win-win situation for the benefit of the society. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by SLBC Vidya Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from SLBC.
And now in Watch Light.
And a Watch Light vaccination program is carried out with the recommendations of the experts committee of the world and our country. The specialist pointed out and said that the successful results can be achieved through precise understanding and interest without undue fear. This was disclosed at a virtual media briefing organized by the Presidential Media Center held yesterday, attended by a medical team including pediatricians and university professors. The vaccination of children was the topic of the discussion. Vaccinations of children with congenital diseases began today at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children in Colombo. Pediatric neurosurgeon physician Dr. Anuruddha Padaniya said. He advised parents to take children who are suffering from chronic diseases including diabetes, neurological diseases, kidney diseases, heart diseases, thalassemia, and diseases of the urinary tract for vaccination. Dr. Padaniya said that they plan to administer the vaccination with the permission of the parents as well as with the recommendations of the relevant specialist doctor when they visit the clinics where they are being treated. And that came to you in Watch Light.
World News.
Headlines of the world news. Afghanistan executions will return, says senior Taliban official. Jitendra Mangogi, India's gangster shot dead in New Delhi court. China declares all cryptocurrency transactions illegal. Those are the headlines, and now more to the details of the world news. The Taliban's notorious former head of religious police has said extreme punishments such as executions and amputations will resume in Afghanistan. Mullah Nuruddin Turabi is now in charge of the prisons, told AFP News amputations were necessary for security. He said these punishments may not be meted out in public as they were under the previous Taliban rule in the 1990s. 2 men posing as lawyers shot dead a notorious gangster inside a courtroom in India's capital, Delhi. They opened fire at Jitendra Mangogi inside the courtroom in Rohini where the case was being heard against him. Officials say police returned fire, killing both men. Police suspect a rival gang planned the attack. Gogi was on Delhi's police most wanted list and he was also being accused for a dozen of cases including murder, kidnapping and fraud in other states. China's central bank has announced that all transactions of cryptocurrencies are illegal, effectively banning digital tokens such as Bitcoin. Virtual currency-related business activities are illegal. Financial activities, the People's Bank of China said, warning it seriously endangers the safety of people's assets. China is one of the world's largest cryptocurrency markets. Fluctuations there often impact the global prices of cryptocurrencies. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Afghanistan executions will return, says senior Taliban official. Jitendra Mangogi, India's gangster shot dead in Delhi court. China declares all cryptocurrency transactions illegal. And that was world news, and now we move on to development news. State Minister Dilum Amunugama says a super luxury train service will be deployed from Kandy to Colombo before the end of this year. The railway line has to be renovated to accommodate more compartments. A goods train service will also be developed. The State Minister also promised to arrange a relief period and discount to repay the installments for diesel, lease, tyre and insurance premiums. That was the development news.
Sports news.
Moving on to sports news. In cricket, former national cricket captain Mahela Jayawardene has been appointed as the consultant to the Sri Lanka team for the first round of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup next month. Meanwhile, the second edition of the Lanka Premier League, LPL, Sri Lanka's domestic T20 tournament, will run from December 4th to the 23rd, Sri Lanka Cricket announced on Thursday. The process to register overseas players will commence from September 24th. The tournament was originally set to run from July 30th to August 22nd, but according to the tournament director Ravin Vikramaratnam, the announcement of the Kashmir Premier League, which required players to be free from August 12th, the 100 and other possible international series involving Bangladesh, had forced the organisers to rethink their timings. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are. Download the NSB Pay app from the Play Store or the App Store for free now. For more information, call your nearest NSB branch or 0112 379 379. Conditions apply.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Ceylon Bank, the bank with a heart, announced its partnership with Korea's Star Remit, enabling convenient real-time money transfer options for Sri Lankans in South Korea. The partnership comes at the opportune time when many Sri Lankan expatriates have chosen to send money to Sri Lanka to support the nation, and Ceylon Bank's dedicated remittance opportunity makes it safe and affordable to transfer funds into the country. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And in economic news, Sri Lanka is ranked second in South Asian region for ease of launching a startup business. The 2021 edition of the Global Startup Ecosystem Report, launched by Global Innovation Policy Advisory and research firm Startup Genome, states the report, which is a country validity study, features, among other matters, Sri Lanka's startup ecosystem and the way forward for it after working closely with the ICT Agency of Sri Lanka. That was economic news, and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report. And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says the shower condition over the southwestern part of the island is likely to enhance during the next few days. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in these areas. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the northern, eastern and Uva provinces in the evening or night. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the International Weather Forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that today's weather was observed to be bright with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was around 28 degrees Celsius. There were light showers in many places, and in the evening, there will be showers in the Colombo district. Tonight's temperature will be around 26 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be around 27 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index AQI is 18, which shows fair condition in Colombo, and the air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. President Rajapaksa visits 9/11 Memorial in New York. The Prime Minister directs the customs to immediately clear essential food items in the port. Sri Lanka begins COVID vaccination for children with comorbidities today. The COVID Prevention Special Committee decides to prepare a plan on health recommendations and limits when reopening the country after lifting the quarantine curfew. Coronavirus update, 923 new cases reported in Sri Lanka. Schools to be reopened under 4 stages after lifting of travel restrictions. Sri Lanka ranked second in South Asian region for ease of launching startup businesses. Sri Lanka confirms 82 new deaths of COVID-19. In news overseas, Afghanistan, executions will return, says senior Taliban official. And in sports news, Mahela appointed as consultant for the T20 World Cup series. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.